What's up, my dudes? My name is Schrute, and this is the track review of Perry's Dreamland Motocross. So, me and this Perry boy have some similar interests when it comes to our dream motocross tracks. I love the whole design around this track, and it's pretty smooth overall. Nothing too crazy on the roughness, but it's just a fun, flowing track. There's no crazy tight corners where you just bind up the brakes and almost stop completely. Like, you can keep your momentum in all the corners, and it's got a lot of jumps on this track, but everything's still in that realistic realm. Nothing's too crazy big or anything like that, so it's just a fun track, man. Just a chill, easy to learn kind of track, and every corner's got an inside and an outside line, and they're both pretty equal because you can obviously rail it around the outside, but you're taking more time to go to the outside, so, or you can kind of bind up the brakes a little bit and go to the inside. So they're both pretty even, whichever line you want to take there, but there's a few corners where you can kind of cut to the inside, like those two corners right there. So yeah, just a fun track, man. All the off track looks really good. It's kind of got that almost a dunes kind of feeling to it when you can kind of see the little hills and stuff in the background, but just pretty fun, man. Got a couple of palm trees here and there, and everything looks pretty good. So it's got a lot of the objects from the 2015 James Stewart compound, but as you can see, it looks like a totally different track. So that's the cool thing about this game, is even if you use some of the similar objects from other tracks, you can make something completely different a lot of the time. So as long as you're not making just identically what somebody else is making with their objects, then you're all good on that end. But as long as you're making something kind of sort of different, then you're going to be okay there. And that's what this is. I mean, it's got the same skybox as the James Stewart compound, the same kind of trees going on, the same ground decal, but all in all, it doesn't even really look like that track. I mean, you can see the similarities because it's the same objects. Obviously, it's going to look somewhat similar, but it's a totally different kind of vibe. So I feel like that's a really cool thing that you can do even when you're using other people's objects and stuff. So, but check out that trouble, bro. Gotta hook it. So it's a lot of fun, but kind of goes into this little sand section, and that's definitely a pretty tricky little jump out of that corner, man, where you jump over those kind of two sand roller things. It's definitely one of those tricky jumps that you got to know just exactly how much throttle to give it, or you're going to overshoot it, or undershoot it. So either one is pretty much devastating for you. So let me play this back in some third person here. Okay, get it like this. But yeah, man, just a simple track, nothing too crazy. I think there's actually some supercross tracks on this little compound, but I'm just reviewing this motocross track right here. So just some fun, nice whip it jumps. But I mean, the corners, they're not like 1,000 ruts or anything like that, but you still have the option of inside or outside. So if you're racing somebody, you could still kind of square up that inside if they took the outside or whatever, and you could kind of pass them like that. So I mean, I think you can carry a little bit more speed going to the outside, even though you take more time going to the outside. I still think you carry a little more speed, but that inside would just kind of give you a passing opportunity if you know the dude was on the outside or whatever and you're trying to get around him. So but you can see all the off-track stuff just all fits in. Nothing looks blank or anything like that. Everything looks pretty good. He's managed to, even though it doesn't have a ton of objects, it's all in how you place them, dude. I'm telling you, it doesn't take 1,000 different kind of objects. You just got to really think about where things would be placed, and a lot of times you got to think of it kind of in a simple way. Don't think of it's almost like painting in a sense, if you know what I'm saying. Like when you're painting, you use little simple tricks that just make things happen, like with it, whether it be the water you're painting, or there's really simple tricks to do all that stuff. But if you were to just sit down and not know a thing about painting, then you would sit there and try to, do every little fine detail, and you'd spend all that time, and it still wouldn't look as good as somebody over here that knows how to do it the simple way. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times it's easy to overthink those kind of things when it comes to art and designing things. It's so easy to overthink it, but you can see really simple, just a off-track decal and some grass billboards and some grass just stuff here and there and some trees, and that's it, man. Some hills. I mean, there's nothing else to it. But just the way he placed the grass around the trees and where the hills look really natural and all that stuff, man, it just does not look bad at all. So there's that big huck it jump right there, and And yeah, but just a mellow, I mean, I could see this being my kind of dream track. That's what I was saying. This Perry dude's got it going on when it comes to all that. But for me, I don't know, man. This track could be in Florida or Hawaii. I mean, you know, it's just got that really cool sandy feeling to it. So just awesome stuff. And I think there's actually a straight rhythm over there. I don't know. I just like to go in here on a compound and review each track on their own, because I hate to... It's kind of weird for me to just go, oh, let me review like 5 tracks in one track review, because then I would kind of have to give it a 10, because that's a lot of work to do all that, but then it wouldn't make sense. So that's why I kind of do all these in separate reviews here. So let me just go back and play this in first person again, because I actually crashed up here pretty bad. And it's a tricky track like that. Like when you get going really fast, I was only actually able to run 1 solid lap on it before I had a crash there, just when I was trying to learn it real quick to do this review. But it's one of those tracks that it's kind of tricky, because it seems like you can go really fast and you can dive into the ruts and stuff, and you can, but it's that kind of track that you're either gonna be flying on it or you're gonna crash instantly. There's no in between. There's no, like, I don't really know how to explain it, but you're either like all throttle, balls to the wall, or you're nothing and you're crashing instantly. So that's kind of the way this track right here is. Like, you really got to find the flow on it. So only a couple of sections that have a little bit of roughness on it, nothing too crazy, but you can definitely get some pretty high speeds. But it's not too flat of a track either. I mean, even though a lot of it is pretty smooth, it still feels natural and real. It doesn't feel like some weird, just perfectly flat, non-realistic kind of track. So yeah, just pretty cool overall. And so I'm gonna give it a man, I don't know, it's fun and all. I mean, I don't know, man. It would be fun if some of the corners were a little bit different. They all just seem like a carbon copy of each other, you know, just the inside and the outside berm. But that's kind of how a sand track is, so I don't really know, but it would be cool to see like 3 ruts or 4 ruts in certain corners, and then maybe no ruts in some corners, instead of just like, that's a carbon copy of that kind of corner is pretty much every corner on this track. You can see it like just an inside line and an outside line, inside line, outside line, inside line, outside line. That's literally the whole track. But other than that, I mean, that's the only thing I can really point out that's somewhat on the repetitive, negative, I guess you could call it, kind of side. But I mean, that just makes it easier to flow on. So either way, I'm gonna give it I guess there's kind of 3 ruts in that corner, but for the most part, all the corners are basically the same. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm gonna give it man, I like the looks of it. I like the off-track stuff. I'm gonna give it the jumps are fun. They all feel good. You know, the lips are not jacked up or anything like that. So I'm going to give it a 9 overall. And I'm going to say the difficulty, I'm going to say it's right in that medium range. There are some harder jumps, I guess you could call them, like that triple huck it out of the corner into that sand section, I guess, is a little bit more difficult. But for the most part, pretty easy track overall. So going to give it that medium difficulty range. And yeah, so definitely once you find that flow, you can definitely get going pretty scary speeds on this track. So anyways, I appreciate all you watching these videos, and I'll keep on making them.